Welcome in, everybody. Welcome into the show. This is the Farsi Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag, and it's wonderful to have you along for the ride. So I got a question here. So Jalen Hurts, Super Bowl champion. Jalen Hurts, Super Bowl MVP. Jalen Hurts, Time Magazine's, do you even call it magazine anymore? Times 100, top 100 list of most influential people in the world. So here's my question. Is Jalen Hurts the guy? I saw this news yesterday, and I absolutely love this news because I have said many times, I've asked the question, how do you not love this guy? Like throughout the season last year in particular, how do you not love Jalen Hurts? And this is where I want to just, for the haters out there, not of them, of me, of Jalen Hurts, of me. Yes, I'll critique the Eagles quarterback throughout the season. I'll say, why was that game against Carolina so terrible? You know, things like that. And it wasn't just Jalen Hurts. It was everybody. We did throughout the season, we did sack courts. What was Jalen Hurts' fault? What was somebody else's fault? You know, all that. You know, we'll critique the Eagles quarterback. He only happens to be playing the speaking of influential positions in all of Philadelphia. And now, as it turns out, the world. But I'll watch Jalen Hurts and I'll critique him. That doesn't mean I never want him to not be our quarterback. And the fact that a guy like this, of this talent, of this skill, of this attitude, of this character, is our quarterback in Philadelphia. As I said throughout the year, last year, just enjoy this ride because it's going to be amazing. Let's enjoy the fact right now that there's really nobody else I'd want to be quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles than Jalen Hurts. For all the off-the-field stuff, and especially all the on-the-field stuff. And one of the biggest things that came out of this, and we got testimonies from Derek Jeter, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. I mean, what more do you need to know? Even before this article came out, going into the Super Bowl, Aaron Andrews is sitting down with Jalen Hurts, and he says the two people that reached out to him after their NFC championship, after their victory, the two people that reached out, first two text messages, Derek Jeter and Michael Jordan. I'd say you're doing okay. You know what I mean? But when it comes to this season, one of the main things that I look at is that an NFL quarterback, an NFL franchise quarterback, whether you thought he was that or not, doesn't matter. The Eagles made him the franchise quarterback. He had no problem with another star coming onto this team in Saquon Barkley and letting him be the star of the show as far as on-field production went. There was no animosity. There was no jealousy. There was no drama. The only drama came with him and A.J. Brown, if you even want to call it drama. But, yeah, there's a little bit there. Yeah, sure. Even acknowledged along the way by both of them. But had no problem with it whatsoever. And Jalen Hurts is so good at running one particular play that they're actually looking to ban it in the NFL. Isn't that crazy? And I know a lot of that credit goes to Nick Sirianni as well on the offensive line, sure. But it's still him running it. He's pretty damn good at it. I can't understand after this year how this guy could have any haters left. Love the fact that he's your quarterback. Love the fact he's a quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. Love the fact that he's our quarterback. And yes, the very cliche line of Terrell Owens, that's my quarterback, definitely crossed my mind. So we'll talk about that a little bit more as the show goes on. Love seeing that. Walter Nolen, the defensive tackle out of Mississippi, has started to, his name has been linked to the Eagles more and more now at 32. As I told you guys yesterday, there's one thing I took away from Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni addressing the media 2 days ago. And that thing is the Eagles aren't picking at 32. They're either going to move up a little bit or they're going to move back a little bit. Howie reiterating how aggressive he likes to be at the draft. That is certainly something that is going to be rattling around in my brain over the next week as we get ready for the NFL draft, which is a week from today. But there's reports from Jeremy Fowler in particular about Walter Nolen's not even off the field issues as much as they are on field issues with him walking off the field, if that makes sense. You talk about character issues of the legal matter. We got into it yesterday when we talked about Howie Roseman answering questions about, anybody that's been linked to domestic violence and him kind of walking those things back. Specifically, during the press conference, Jeff McClain of Inquirer.com asked the question about Walter Nolen, saying a lot of teams are taking him off their top 30 board, top 32 board, their first-round board in general, because of character issues, maturity issues. Now, these character issues, to be clear, are not legal matters. This is all about him and his attitude towards playing football. Lane Kiffin questioned his toughness last year when Walter Nolen got hurt during a game and didn't want to go back in. I would find it very interesting if the Eagles drafted Walter Nolen with the history and the conversations that have already started up around this fella, around the NFL. And one of the things I jumped to, when you talk about a guy that doesn't want to play because he's afraid of getting hurt when he's been cleared essentially to play, doesn't want to play. I can almost, this day and age, with the money that's out there for these guys, these guys aren't playing in bowl games, a lot of them. So they're just worried about getting injured, especially if they know they're going to be a first-round pick. They're going to be, at worst, a second-round pick. The thing that concerns me also is if things aren't going the way his practice, he's walked off the field at practice. Could you imagine him doing that with Vic Fangio? I can't. And the reason I really find it interesting that if Howie Roseman was interested in Walter Nolen, and Big Dom's going to do the homework and all that stuff, is that if you remember, Carson Wentz one playoff game that he played for the Eagles. It was one playoff game. Carson Wentz, there was a story about, I don't know, it's never been confirmed, but there was a story about Carson Wentz not wanting to go back into the game because of the concussion despite being cleared, and that not sitting well with Howie Roseman. Like Carson just not feeling right and not wanting to go back in, but despite the team saying, no, you can go back in. Was that Josh McCown? Who came in? Was it McCown? It was McCown. Josh McCown came into the game after that. That didn't sit well with Howie. I can't imagine that sitting well at any position with Howie Roseman. If the guy doesn't want to practice, he's not going to practice. If he gets frustrated, he's going to stop. He's going to quit, essentially. And if a guy feels like he's too banged up to play, he's not going to play. All right, well, I could see that at the college level. But at the pro level, I don't really think that's going to fly. And I certainly don't think that's going to fly with Clinton Hurt. And I know that's not going to fly with Vic Fangio. So I've seen Walter Nolen's name come up a number of times now as a defensive tackle. And I'm team defensive tackle here as far as the draft would go. When I hear these things about a kid not wanting to play, yeah, that's concerning. When we talk about when he is playing and he's actually out there doing his job, oh, he's pretty damn good. And you talk about the talent, oh, yeah, I'd want that talent. But then you talk about the attitude and the character, yeah, that's a huge concern. To me, that is a ginormous red flag. And all the times I've seen, local media discuss him, the amount of times he's now come up linked to the Eagles and different feeds and all that stuff, I would find it interesting if the Eagles went in that direction. Talent, yes. Character, interesting. And again, to be clear, because I know this could be misconstrued with people who just see character and they don't look any further. It's not about, criminal issues here. Talking about a guy's dedication to being great. Commitment, as Jeffrey Lurie has called it. Commitment to being excellent. So we'll get into that a little bit more. And the Phillies. I didn't feel like the Phillies were going to lose that game when they went down 4-0 after the top of the first inning. That's not when I went, they're totally going to lose this game. That's not when I felt that they were totally going to lose this game. I knew Robbie Ray had been struggling. I knew Robbie Ray had struggled with command. Not like he had struggled with command last night. That was probably an ultimate, but he had struggled with command. When the Phillies failed to drive in any runs after a bases-loaded situation. Now I say drive in, I mean like getting a big hit, getting a ground ball with eyes, getting a dying quail, whatever. They failed to do that, and the only 2 runs they could muster in the bottom of the first inning were runs that were walked in by Robbie Ray. That's where I went, this ain't their night. when Bryce Harper hit a game-tying 2-run home run, his second 2-run home run in as many nights, his 4th home run of the year. When he did that in the 4th inning of last night's game, and tied it at 4, I still did not think that the Phillies were going to win that game. Then they go to the top of the 5th inning. Johan Rojas has that ball, according to Rob Thompson, slip out of his hand. 5-4, then a run scores on that. Lee had the double. Yeah, it was Lee's double in the 5th, top of the 5th inning. They held Lee at third base. They weren't going to send him home until Johan Rojas airmailed that throw wide of home plate, well wide, like visitor dugout wide of home plate. And the run scored. It made it 5-4 in favor of the San Francisco Giants. And when I saw that, I went, that's about right. That's about where I saw this game going. And sure enough, it ended up being 11-4, Giants win. Joe Ross, not a major league pitcher. Not a major league pitcher. He's been with the Nationals for like 6 or 7 years, Brewers for a year, and now the Phillies. He started games, started 10 games last year, as a matter of fact. And I'm watching him now pitch out of the bullpen for the Phillies. I'm going, nope. I'm good with this guy. And I understand it wasn't even a mop-up role at that point, but still, good Lord, it was terrible. Aaron Nola even said after the game that this isn't his game. This is the worst start of his career. He's walked, let me get the numbers here. I think in his career, I think he's walked in, in his career, he walked in two runs. Bases loaded walks twice. Or three times he's done it, going into yesterday. And then you see him do it in the first inning of the game yesterday. It was a bit of a rough one. Aaron Nola called it the worst start of his career by far. 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position were the Philadelphia Phillies yesterday. And after the game, Rob Thompson, I played the cut for you guys the other day about just Rob Thompson talking about how, we're a good team. We're going to turn this around. I think I unfortunately deleted it from my playlist, but I'll get it back in there. Last night, he was even more, what are you going to do kind of thing. And I got to be honest with you. My approach to this season is I need the Phillies to be playing their best baseball in the second half of the year. The great start they had last year, all that's out the window. Like, it's a double-edged sword in that my approach to this season mentally in how I watch the Phillies, it's a cross between don't peak too early and also judging a team that is virtually the same team that they have been for the last 4 years. So when you talk about a team being 20 games into a season, it's not just, it was only 20 games. You still got 140 of these left, It's not just that. It's judging a team that has consistently made the same mistakes over the last 4 years with essentially the same group of players. Aaron Nola's inconsistency and the lineup's inconsistency, the bullpen's inconsistency. There's a couple of saving graces in the season is that I don't think Aaron Nola is this bad. Even for the people that think Aaron Nola sucks, I don't think he is, an ERA of 6 bad, okay? I don't think Zach Wheeler is this bad. We talked about it the last, it's been a year and a half, 2 years since Zach Wheeler had back-to-back starts with neither one of them being a quality start at least. Yeah, I don't think he's this bad. There's a 250 batting, and Bryce Harper's been the guy driving in runs the last 2 days, so I'm not going to rip him, but a 250, 260 batting average, I think Bryce Harper's a little bit better than that. Alec Boehm is certainly better than a guy that was hitting .095 coming into this homestand. So if you're talking about these guys playing really bad baseball but still being over 500, I'll take that as a little bit of a positive that they can still be this bad but still be over 500. I think one of the things that makes this so difficult is not just the fact that this is Act 4 of this Phillies team, but it's also the idea that you set a really high bar really early in the season when you took 2 out of 3 against the Dodgers. And then you went on to lose to the Braves. And by the way, the Braves, as many of us were concerned about maybe after that series, that maybe that was the quarter in the machine that the Braves needed to get going. Well, that hasn't been the case. Phillies handed the Braves 2 of their scarce wins so far this season. That's one thing. That's one thing. Then you go into St. Louis and you get shut out twice. That doesn't make you feel good. And now you're in danger of losing your 3rd consecutive series if you drop Game 4 today at 4:05. Christopher Sanchez gets the ball, by the way, for the Phillies today. That's what we're looking at. After not losing any of their first, 3-4 series, they could now drop 3 in a row. Yeah, it doesn't make you feel good. All I ask is that the Phillies just stay in the hunt in the first half of the season. And they've done more than that. First place team, second place team, going back and forth that. I'm all for it. Just stay in the hunt around the All-Star break and then show me how good you could be. Last year, really so many years with the Phillies. The year they go to the World Series, same thing. June is when they started to turn it on. Last year is the one rare exception where the Phillies played great, historically great. Remember the numbers we were giving out last year? Rangers, Suarez, no one's done this since the ERA has been a thing. Nobody's done this since 1913. No one's done this since 1918. Like the start the Phillies were off to last year was insane. And people, World Series bound. And I'm the last person to go wait and see. But if anyone is going to invoke a wait and see, if you're ever in your life going to invoke a wait and see, baseball is pretty much the only sport you can invoke the wait and see. As much as I hate it, you guys know I hate it. I'm looking at this Phillies team right now, and I'm going, I got confidence that they're a lot better than what we have seen. I said before the season they're going to be a playoff team. I haven't swayed from that. I think the Braves are going to be a better ball club by the time, let's say, July rolls around. But watching this Phillies team right now is going to be a roller coaster. An absolute roller coaster. And last night, after Aaron Nola allows 4 runs in the first inning, I will say he had a little, this is no excuse whatsoever, but he allowed 2 runs and then he gave up, what did he give up? He gave up the 2-run single that just leaked, 2-run, 2-out single that leaked into left field off the mid of Trey Turner. That's a ball that, Trey Turner should get. He's got enough range to get to that ball. Clanked off his mitt, should have certainly had it. So maybe it's a 2-2 game after 1 inning, as opposed to it being 4-2 in favor of the Giants. But yeah, it was a rough one to watch last night, unfortunately. All right, let's get to it all on today's program. First person we're going to talk about is Jalen Hurts. I absolutely love this, and this is Derek Jeter to Time about the attitude of Jalen Hurts. This is what he had to say at the time. We connected shortly after the Super Bowl, this one that the Eagles won, obviously, and the only thing he asked about was insight on making it back and winning more championships. Sometimes people win, then they exhale. Jalen is not exhaling. He's embracing the next challenge, win or lose. Jalen's resilience and determination offer all of us something to admire. Reading that from Derek Jeter put me all the way back to a couple days after the Eagles won the Super Bowl. And if you remember, there were stories coming out. A.J. Brown talked about how it wasn't what it was a great moment of winning, and then it's like, okay, let's get right back to work. Devontae Smith, great moment of winning, and all right, let's get back to work. Jalen Hurts, great moment of winning, let's get back to work. I'll never forget on cleanout day, Jalen Hurts being at his locker after he had just won the Super Bowl, after he had just put the Super Bowl MVP trophy in his trophy case. He's talking about the inconvenience of winning a Super Bowl. When he talked about how other quarterbacks are already into their, off-season plan, their off-season workout, getting ready for the next year, Jalen Hurts talked about, now he didn't use the word inconvenience, but he was talking about winning a Super Bowl as if it was an inconvenience. And I thought, yeah, I want that guy. Because look, I'll never forget the first championship of my life, okay, was the Phillies winning the World Series in 2008. And I'll never forget, there was talk on the radio at the time about, oh, should we ban the boo? Should we not boo the Philadelphia Phillies because they just won the first championship in 27 years, whatever the hell it was? Like, I say it like that now. But should we ban the boo? And I remember top of the second inning. I think it was the top of the second inning. Chipper Jones took Brett Myers deep on a 2-run home run. I think I have that right. And we booed. We just an inning and a third. That's how long it took. The Eagles won the Super Bowl with Nick Foles and company. They unfurled the Super Bowl championship banner, the first in the Eagles' history. And at halftime of that game, the Eagles were booed off the field. So Jalen Hurts' mentality of, so what, now what? Kind of echoes how we feel as a fan base, doesn't it? I believe the evidence is there to prove it. It's really indisputable. That's how we are. And you have a quarterback that matches that same type of intensity, desire, and drive as a fan base. And it doesn't get talked about enough. It feels like the only time we talk about Jalen Hurts is when he's getting slighted. We're talking about him right now because he's getting praised as a top 100 most influential people in the world by time. Simone Biles was on this list. I think 6 other athletes were on this list. The French swimmer. Simone Biles is the name that's probably the most famous of all of them, but that's pretty special. And then I thought about, influential. I'm like, well, Patrick Mahomes isn't more influential. I'm like, well, he didn't win the Super Bowl this year. Not this year. Not for 2024, 2025, baby. So I looked at this as, what a time. What we crave always is that we have a quarterback that is obviously good, is obviously talented, can win a Super Bowl. He's been to 2 of them already. He answered the question that everyone was worried about last year, which was, well, if it really comes down to it, can Jalen Hurts be the guy to win? Yeah, Jalen Hurts is the guy. Jalen Hurts is the guy. National accolades, global accolades like this, that's pretty special. Charitable work, lots been made of $200,000 for air conditioners in Philadelphia schools. Like, how do you not just love this guy? And I feel like we only talk about him, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to get into today. I feel like we only talk about Jalen Hurts when we're talking about what other people say he can't do. Like, he's answered your questions. I get after 1 year, oh, is Jalen Hurts the guy? But now after 2 Super Bowl appearances, a Super Bowl victory, and an overwhelming, we talk about character, like an overwhelming positive character. Like, so help me God, if we get through a little bit of a rough start to the upcoming season and people are questioning Jalen Hurts again, that will drive me bonkers. Like, he's answered your questions. This guy needs to be praised more than anything. And you talk about toughness, mental toughness. You talk about putting the team first. This guy has become, in some ways, a walking cliche when it comes to the main thing is the main thing, and people almost roll their eyes at it, at least during the season. Oh, we keep the main thing the main thing. Oh, yeah, we keep the main thing the main thing. Yeah. Like, if every athlete did that, I think every team would be a lot better off. Like, I think about it a lot when it comes to the mental makeup of a player and the mental toughness of a player. I've gone back to many times. Jalen Hurts is really going to get the opportunity to be a starter in the NFL. The smoke is clearing with Carson Wentz being moved. Jalen Hurts is getting questions at training camp about the Eagles potentially trading for Aaron Rodgers. The Eagles potentially, reportedly, actually, making an offer to Russell Wilson that he said no to. Deshaun Watson. Could you imagine? And all through that process, Jalen Hurts maintained the attitude of, I'm above it all. Out there, pointing at the practice field, NovaCare Complex. Out there is where I can control things. That's it. At that exact moment, that's when I realized who Jalen Hurts was. That's the moment I went, okay, all right. That's who this guy is. All the conversation that's going to happen off the field about how good he is doesn't matter because he can ultimately control that conversation by performing out there on the football field. So what has he done since then? Well, you know the resume by now. Doesn't get enough praise. When I saw the cover of him, with the digital print there of time put out there by the Eagles, I went, I know the phrase is "get your flowers." Well, he's got the flowers, and I hope it continues for him. And on top of that, he's got to still earn them. He has flowers now. Now he wants more flowers. Whether it's Derek Jeter talking about his drive to win, his dedication to winning, how you don't exhale, you just keep going. Keep learning from people that have done it time and time again. Learn from people that have had dynasties. Whether that's dinner with Michael Jordan, whether that's a text message from Michael Jordan, whether that's notes from Tom Brady, whether that's notes from, in this case, Derek Jeter, keep learning. Because the guy that I heard talk about, I'm above all the conversation about Deshaun Watson, I'm above all the conversation about Russell Wilson and the reports about Russell Wilson, I'm above all the conversation about Aaron Rodgers. That guy, before he had any drop of success in the NFL when he was still just a second-round pick, that guy is the same guy after making it to his second Super Bowl, winning that Super Bowl, winning the MVP award. It's the same guy. Talking about winning a Super Bowl. Oh, man, I got this. I would love to work out and get ready for next season, but I'm still in the playoffs. Oh, I got to do this week lead up to the Super Bowl. Oh, my goodness gracious. When am I going to be able to wear? Oh, I won the Super Bowl. Oh, I got to go to Disney World. I got to do the media tour. I got to do the parade. Oh, man, when am I going to get time to work out? When am I going to have my time to lift weights? Yeah. The quarterback that you wish you had for the Philadelphia Eagles always is the quarterback you have now. Has that sunk in for people yet? It wasn't time that set this off in my head. It's watching the guy play and listening to him reveal his mental makeup. Think about this. The guy you want to be quarterback always is playing quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles right now. When we, after Carson Wentz's amazing second year, NFL MVP on the run, ready to do that, and then we all know what happened in Los Angeles. We all know how that season ended with the Eagles winning a Super Bowl, but still. And then the years following, is Carson Wentz the guy? Can he really do it? Is he still that ginger Jesus, quote unquote, that we were talking so much about? It's the most important position in American sports, certainly, in Philadelphia, quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. And all yesterday did was reiterate for me that the guy that you always want to play is playing right now. It's a special time. And by the way, all that he's concerned about is doing it again. What a time to be alive. What a time to be alive. NFL draft. Again, I mentioned Walter Nolen earlier in the program. I'm on the defensive tackle is a need, and it looks like you're going to get maybe the best player available at 32 if you stay around 32. I'll say that. Could match the need category and could ask, not that you ever draft for need, don't get me wrong, but it could match the need and best available. I would love to see the Eagles have someone come in and fill Milt Williams' shoes immediately. Walter Nolen can do that. He's got the strength. He's got the quickness. He's got the size. He can do it. I want no parts of a guy that is looking like they want to quit at any moment. And other NFL teams, I'm not just talking about the Eagles' perspective on this, but according to Jeremy Fowler, other NFL teams have taken him off their first-round board because of maturity and character issues. Specifically, him being told he's healthy enough to go back to a game, him saying he's not healthy enough. I don't feel it. Not doing it. It's his body. It's his career. I get that part of it. What I can never understand is a player just quitting on a practice field. I can never understand that. You look at a lot of these young guys throughout sports. Jalen Carter had one horrible instance off the football field. The Eagles examined that, looked into that to nth degree, but it was never about whether or not he wanted to play football. This is the football world we're talking about. And I thought one of the smartest things the NFL did, although it was way too long before they realized this, is they kind of got out of the investigation business. So from a football perspective, which is in the NFL, the National Football League, the most important thing, from a football perspective, if a guy wants to quit on playing football because he's throwing a hissy fit, that's a problem for me. And then you want to take that guy that apparently is a little sensitive, a little immature, and you want to put him under Vic Fangio? I would be very surprised if, with given the background, a background that holds enough water apparently where other NFL teams are going to look at it and be like, oh yeah, not in the first round. I would be very surprised if the Eagles decided to take Walter Nolen. And I know he's popped up for a lot of people. Maybe it's just that we're a week away from the draft and we're getting more defensive tackles. But as of right now, I haven't heard more people talk about him really in the last month than I have in the last 2 days. I'm out. I just want to be clear on this. I'm out. If the main thing is football, he doesn't appear to want to keep the main thing. So I'm out on that. Don't put me down as someone that wants Walter Nolen playing here in Philadelphia. Hey, look, we've talked a lot of the recent years about what ifs with athletes. I can't take another athlete that's going to be a first-round pick that just may or may not love football or love the sport. They might love what the sport brings them, but they might not love the sport. And Walter Nolen, to me, has the cloud over him right now as a guy that is really good at playing football, but doesn't really want to be great at playing football. Now, the other side of it is, will Vic Fangio be the guy to whip him into shape? I don't want him to try. I'd rather him have a guy that wants to be out there and absolutely loves playing, and you got to drag him off the football field. That's what I want. Again, the injury part of it, I can understand that. I can understand. I got an NFL career ahead of me. I'm not going to risk it at the college level right now, especially in a day and age where you don't have players playing in bowl games because of their, the impact it can have if they get hurt on their draft status. And I get that too, from a business perspective. But I should never read anything about how a guy doesn't want to practice, about how a guy doesn't want to be out there, and a guy can throw a hissy fit. I don't need that part of it. So on the Walter Nolen conversation, I'm out. You're Philadelphia Phillies. Hey, Walter Nolen doesn't want to practice today, coach. Ugh. Hey, you knew it was coming. Anyway, Phillies yesterday. Robbie Ray, Aaron Nola. You win the game. No, you win the game. No, you win the game. That was the first inning. 4-0, 35 pitches into the game for Aaron Nola. Funny thing was he started off that inning with a first pitch ground out to short by Yastrzemski to Trey Turner. Then he gives it the double to Adames, gives it the RBI single to Lee, gives it a single to Chapman. The thing that also drove me crazy about the first inning, a lot of these at-bats, at least 3 of these at-bats, Aaron Nola was up on the hitters before losing them to either walks or base hits. He's up on Chapman, 0-2 count, lost him, gave up the single. Ramos, he was up 1-2, gave him the walk. Bases loaded, 1-out situation. He's able to get Wade to strike out in a 2-2 knuckle. Thought, all right, maybe he's getting out of this. Then he walks Flores to walk in a run. He was up in that count 1-2, then went down 3-2 before walking him. Bailey gets the 2-run single to left field off Trey Turner's mitt. That's the one we talked about earlier. Fitzgerald comes in. He sits Fitzgerald down on 3 pitches. When it was all said and done, 35 pitches for Aaron Nola in the first inning, 22 for strikes, 4-0 in favor of the Giants. Bottom of the first inning, Trey Turner leads off with a single, an infield single to short. Beat out the throw. Way to be. Bryce Harper going against the lefty Robbie Ray yesterday was batting second with Trey Turner leading off. He walks on 4 pitches. Kyle Schwarber walks. Got a bases loaded, no-out situation. Nick Castellanos gets a 2-0 fastball, middle of the plate, well, inner half of the plate up, and he just puts a bat swing on it. That was a kill shot. That should have been the big hit of the inning. Instead, he flew out to shallow right field. Real Muto steps up. He walks. Another run comes in. He also protected the plate on a 3-2 pitch, which was fantastic. Good job by him. And then that's a 4-1 game. Bohm strikes out. He gets a slider up in the zone that he chases. 89 miles per hour. It was up in the zone. It wasn't high. It was up in the zone. And that could have been another kill shot in the gap. It wasn't. He struck out. Edmundo Sosa walks in. A run. Like to see that. And then Marchand. Hey, look. I'm not blaming the umpires at all. This is just another feather in the cap of the argument for robo-umps. Or, the challenge system, at least here. Rafael Marchand. Obviously a young player. Little exposure last year, but young player. He gets a slider down and in from the lefty Robbie Ray, and Dan Bellino behind the plate calls it a strike. It was below the knees, and it was off the plate. Not saying it's the reason the Phillies didn't do more in that inning, but it didn't help. Now, the reason that matters is because the next 3 pitches that were thrown were down and in sliders. All of them pitches that Rafael Marchand now thinks he has to go after because they're going to be strikes because of the bad call on the first pitch of his at-bat. Either way, it's 4-2 coming out of that. Phillies tie it up in the 4th inning on the 2-run home run by Bryce Harper, second in Asman again. Another thing about that is Bryce Harper saw 8 pitches. All of them were balls leading up to this at-bat in the 4th inning. And this pitch that he hit was a ball. I know he swung, so it's a strike, but it was off the plate and inside. Yesterday, or 2 days ago, the home run that he hit, 2-run home run, in on the hands, it was a 3-0 pitch, and he made the adjustment and hit it out of the park. 4th inning, first pitch he sees, slider, down and in, well inside. He adjusts, open up the stance, pulls it down the right field line, 364 feet for a 2-run home run. After, by the way, Johan Rojas led off the inning with a double. So 4-4 game. What Johan Rojas giveth, Johan Rojas taketh away. Adames led off the 5th inning there with a ground out to third. Lee gets the double. 0-1 pitch. Again, Aaron Nola being up at the count. But 0-1 pitch, hits a double to right field. Chapman then steps up, hits a single to center field. Johan Rojas gets to it quickly, fields it cleanly. They hold Lee, who can run, at third, and that's when Johan Rojas had a horrendous throw that after the game, Rob Thompson said he just slipped out of his hand. 5-4 San Francisco. Nola runs into some trouble in the 6th inning. I don't know how in the 6th inning. He's at 79 pitches, which, by the way, for after having 35 pitches in the 1st inning, being at 79 pitches at the start of the 6th inning is a miracle. So Nola's sitting at that spot. Flores grounds out to short. He walks Bailey, again, up in the count, 0-2, loses him. Fitzgerald gets a single. He walks Yaz, was up in that count, 1-2, walks him. Bases loaded, 1 out. Then Rob Thompson goes to the bullpen, brings in Jose Ruiz. Hey, Jose, can you help us out a little bit? He walks Adames. Another run comes in. It's 6-4. Lee gets the sack fly RBI to left field. It's 7-4. And then the walking white flag. Joe Ross comes into the game, and he allows 4 runs in the 7th inning. If you have 2 innings where you allow 4 runs, you're probably not winning that baseball game. And the way it ended up was 11-4. Now, there was one moment in this game that made me smile. 8th inning, Carlos Hernandez is in the game, pitching for the Phils. He walks Chapman on 5 pitches, gets Ramos to fly out to center field, walks Wade. Then Wilmer Flores comes up to the plate. Carlos Hernandez, with runners on 1st and 2nd and 1 out, goes down in the count to Flores, 3-0. Bryce Harper at first base calls timeout. Phillies are down 11-4. 1st and 2nd, 1 out, 3-0 count to Flores at the plate. Harper calls time. Tells Rafael Marchand, come here, get out here. Settles Carlos Hernandez down. And then Carlos Hernandez, after that, got Flores to fly out to center field and then strikes out Bailey on a splitter. 11-4, Harper's calling timeout, settles pitcher down. I was like, okay, look, the game's lost. Let's acknowledge it. Does Bryce Harper get a sense of urgency with this bullpen that nobody else is getting? Where he's like, okay, I need somebody in the bullpen to come in and do their job right now. So he goes out, and I think he just wanted to talk to a veteran and Carlos Hernandez, be like, hey, dude, you got this. There's the plate. Just throw it over. This guy is Rafael Marchand. He's your catcher. He's the guy behind the plate there. Just throw it to where his mitt is, and he should be set. I don't think he was that sarcastic, but he settled things down in an 11-4 game. Okay, fine. My sense was Bryce Harper even gets a sense of this bullpen ain't got it. So he's got to do what he can to maybe help a reliever that he's got some confidence in that can actually give you some good innings here. And he did. He settled it down. So good for Bryce Harper on that. A guy that so often won't bust it down the first base line, but gets a sense of urgency when he knows his reliever ain't doing a thing. But he settled him down, and that was that. 11-4, Phillies take the loss. Again, they'll try to at least get the series split against the San Francisco Giants today. You got Christopher Sanchez on the hill for the Phils after his 4 double play game in St. Louis against the Cardinals. I'm blanking on who's starting for the Jordan Hicks. That's right. Jordan Hicks is starting for the Giants. He's 1-1 on the season with a 5.87 ERA. He has struck out 14 batters in 15 and a third innings of work. Also given up 15 hits in that span as well. He's coming off a rough start, if I'm not mistaken, against the Yankees. I think it was a 7-run performance. 7 runs, 8 hits, 4 innings against the New York Yankees. Who hasn't been shelled by the Yankees recently, right? Anyway, that's that. Hey, before we get into the chat check, let me tell you about the Game app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy. Get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. Want to go to the game, the concert, the comedy show, whatever the case might be, Game Time app has you covered. And don't forget about Game Time Picks. That filters out all the fluff so you get right down to it. The best seats at the best prices on the Game Time app. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. How about PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. How about Sky Motorcars? Check out Brett's amazing inventory at SkyMotorcars.com. Let's get into the chat check. Before I get into the chat check, just one more thing in case there's any more Jalen Hurts haters. All right, that'll do it. All right, let's see what's going on over here. Hello. Wine Niners Wine, what's popping? Jason A, hello. Jalen, that cover is awesome. Isn't that awesome? Sean Kilrain, hello again. Sean Kilrain, hello. Saw this Phillies truth for you all. Phillies truth for you all. Nola should be a 5th starter. I know people have been bumping him back in the – I still think he's in the perfect spot. Number 3 in a rotation, I think, is a perfect spot for Aaron Nola. Bohm, Rojas, and Marsh should have been traded this offseason. Kepler's injury-prone. Stubbs should stay in Lehigh Valley vibes. Stubbs should stay in – well, I thought the argument would be for the other way, especially because he caught Nola so well last year. Stubbs should stay in Lehigh vibes. I don't agree with Nola being a 5th starter. Bohm, Rojas, Marsh should have been traded. I'll make the argument Marsh should have never been acquired. It still is amazing to me. It's been a couple days since I checked Logan O'Hoppy's numbers. Let me see if he's come down to earth a little bit. He was hitting 333 with, I think, 5 home runs the last I checked. It still bothers me. It bothered me at the time. It's not revisionist history. It bothered me at the time. Oh, yeah. His average has plummeted. He's gone from 355 to 327. But he hasn't hit a homer. My take on it at the time was not that you should have held on to Logan O'Hoppy, but if you were going to trade Logan O'Hoppy, why not get something more than Brandon Marsh, for crying out loud? As far as Bohm, I would have traded Bohm for Nolan Arenado 2 years ago. I was driving that bandwagon, all right, for the record. I still think Bohm makes it out of this. He had another hit last night. He's hit safely in 4 of his last 5 games. Guy's on fire, folks. April, good morning. That's why Arenado gets the job done, but inconsistent. Ring the bell. That's true, Sean. I agree with that. Danny, what's going on, Danny? William, hello. JJ, oh. Morning. Jeremy, hello. Izzy Hertz. That's funny. The up-and-coming draft, Howie was ready. Howie was ready, and once drafted fans were shocked. Did I miss a first comment? Hey, Miss Guzzi. Daz, good morning. We stink again. That we do. Jeremy, big day today. Locked on Eagles Day. 97.5 The Fanatic reunion. Mark, this will be Tuesday, Thursday. It will I think it's going to be a Wednesday, Thursday show. Did I say Wednesday, Thursday? Monday, Thursday show. It's going to be a Monday, Thursday show, I believe. So today, let me just make sure I got the right time here. Check them. Your boy, by the way, your boy's busy today, man. Your boy's busy today. Noon today, Jason Martinez, Harry Mays, and myself, we're going to be doing the Locked On Eagles Squad podcast on the Locked On Eagles YouTube channel. So make sure you guys like and subscribe to that for yourself. Enjoy. J-I-J. I'm Mo. Okay. Well, I don't know what's happening here. I agree. Phillies just need to be middling until July or August. Isn't that fun? Let's add more games to the schedule. Missed the beginning last year. That was the best start of my lifetime. Well, it was the best start for a lot of our lifetimes. That's for sure. Joe Whip, wait and see, sure, but this is no playoff team. Terrible bullpen and lineup with more holes than Swiss cheese. Thompson isn't helping matters either. I don't need Thompson to flip a table or anything. But the more I thought about it, the more I was bothered by him not arguing for JT Realmuto. Oh. And I was actually happy that Dan Bellino missed the call last night too, with again JT Realmuto at the plate. So you had first game of the series. You had Vic Carapazza behind the plate. Was Vic Carapazza? Yeah. No, wait. Am I getting? I forget who was behind the home plate in game one. I think it was Vic Carapazza. Anyway, he misses the call on JT Realmuto. That 3-2 pitch that was well outside. And then last night, Dan Bellino, he calls another pitch that's well outside on JT Realmuto in the ninth inning to end it. I was glad he did. That was taking the game behind the woodshed and being like, all right, to put you out of your misery. So I was happy about that. But everything else has sucked. But no, I still see this as being a better team than what we have seen so far. Wait. Sean, can we see this? As far as Yahoo Sports, Colby Leibowitz suggests the Eagles should look into trading for exchanging Devontae Smith for Jalen Ramsey. How about no? I saw Ramsey was requesting a trade. I did not see that the Eagles were supposed to be in on that. Plus, here's why it makes no sense. Hey, Vic, remember that, some of those guys that hated you in Miami? We're going to bring him here. That's our boys won it every year, as far as the absolutely Jason A. Ken Saad, hello. Sean Gillespie, Jalen thrives on the negativity against him. So all Jalen haters, keep it coming. Well, that's the words of Jordan Mailata. I love when they doubt you. I love when they doubt you. Hey, Wine Niners Wine. My daughter's first jersey was Jalen Hurts. He is the definition of the type of person every father wishes his daughter finds. Now let's talk about his football, right? I agree. Jason A says, best quarterback in Eagles history, in my opinion. If he gets another, I think it solidifies it. Oh, absolutely. Specifically, I mean, he's the first regular starter to start 2 Super Bowls for the Eagles. He's your first regular starter to win you a Super Bowl. I mean, Nick Foles, backup. Not a slight, just putting out a fact. Kensad, Hurts gets the most out of himself, but let's face it, absolutely, best situation. But when you also talk about it, like how many other quarterbacks would get in the way of acknowledging, oh, there's something else on this team that is more dominant than me? Yeah, let's use that. That's called keeping the main thing. Not everybody has that. I have to get involved. I should do something. I recommend this for anybody, specifically people that work in a creative field. There's an episode of Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. Stay with me here, okay? This will relate to football, where Dave Chappelle breaks down when he knows he has something and when he doesn't. And I think this related back to the Chappelle show a lot, where you got to constantly come up with ideas. I don't know if you guys have ever worked in an environment where a boss is like, we need your ideas. We have ideas. Keep the ideas coming. We need some ideas. And they're just constantly hounding you for ideas, right? Well, if you've ever worked in a field like that, Dave Chappelle breaks it down with when the idea drives up to his house and goes, hey, come on in. We're going somewhere. And you're like, where are we going? You're like, just don't worry about it. Get in. When the idea just takes over and it has a life of its own, that's when you really know you have something. But when you force the situation, you go, I should have an idea. I should say something. I should do something. That's where you get into trouble. In this case, the idea is Saquon Barkley. And I think Jalen Hurts realizes that Saquon Barkley is driving a lot of this, because Saquon behind this offensive line can be even more dominant than Jalen behind this offensive line. So for Jalen to not force himself in the driver's seat is a huge credit to him, when we can see so many other athletes getting into the jealousy mode, getting into a force it situation, when in fact Jalen's done the exact opposite. And why has he done that? Because it's what's best for the team. Jalen's not forcing the situation, and great ideas are coming from that. Now, I, throughout last year, maintained the mindset that if Jalen Hurts has to win you a game, Jalen Hurts can win you a game. As a matter of fact, Jalen Hurts will win you that game. I heard people talking about how scared they were, how terrified they were, that if it came down to Jalen Hurts having to make throws, this team won't win a Super Bowl. Saquon Barkley was held to, 2.3 yards per carry in the Super Bowl? Jalen Hurts was your MVP. Now, that doesn't mean that Saquon Barkley was a non-factor. He still ran the ball 25 times. That's keeping a defense honest. And then that's a quarterback making throws to cash in on the opportunities. But I agree with what you're saying. He absolutely has a great situation. How many people have a great situation and mess it up? How he's moving up for Manuel Wari. Really? Or Starks. Starks, I could see. All smokescreen. I also feel like the Phillies owe me money for a Major League Baseball subscription I bought. They popped their... Oh, they pooped their pants again. Sorry, Philly Magic. Last night's strike zone was cold spaghetti. Gross. Joe Webb, can someone in this bullpen throw a strike? Nope. It is always ball one, followed by ball two. Fire Dombrowski, says Joe Whip. Philly Magic 365. Am I in the wrong chair? What? Jalen Ramsey, so dumb. I know. Dumbest take I've ever heard. I didn't see that, but it is pretty amazing. I'm lost. Was the ideas with Dave Chappelle? I said stay with me. Jason A. You ever notice when somebody says stay with me, they've already lost you? Sorry about that. Dave Chappelle is the GOAT. I agree. No one even comes close. Maybe Bernie Mac. That's a conversation for another. That's when I'll really lose you. You know what I mean? Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are great as per usual. Let's get to the morning rush. Sponsored by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. I mentioned your Philadelphia Phillies back at it today. 4:05 start time. Christopher Sanchez takes on Jordan Hicks. And the Philadelphia Flyers. They called a season tonight. At 7 o'clock, they're in Buffalo to take on the Sabres. The Flyers enter this game tonight 33, 38, and 10 on the season. Flyers got shut out, so I'm still crossing my fingers that Matvei Mishkov gets a goal tonight and becomes the Flyers' leading goal scorer in his first year with the Flyers. Right now, it's a three-way tie. Travis Konecny, Mishkov, and Forrester all have 24 goals on the season. TK, hands down, your points winner, 75 points on the season. That's what you got there for him. And that's that. Hasn't been a great year for the Flyers. Hasn't been a great year. All right, hey, more of me later today. 12 o'clock, Locked On Eagles YouTube channel. Locked On Eagles YouTube channel. We'll be breaking it all down with Harry Mays and Jason Martinez over there. Jason's going to be driving the show usually. Jason's fighting his battle, fighting the good fight with cancer. He's been public about it. He's inspired people with it, and he's had great support specifically from the Flyers organization. I'll just say that. I'll let Jason talk about it. But when he's feeling more up to it, he'll be driving the show. But he got me in the driver's seat today. Harry Mays, Jason Martinez, myself at noon today on Locked On Eagles YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe, Locked On Eagles YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, Locked On Phillies YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe, Farzy Show YouTube channel. And make sure you like and subscribe to Jacob Media YouTube channel. Speaking of which, Birds 365 coming up at 8 o'clock today on Jacob Media. So make sure you guys stick around for that. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You guys are fantastic as per usual. Back with you guys tonight and this afternoon. Locked On Eagles. And then back on tonight after the Phillies game. Oh, I mentioned it was a busy day for your boy. So here's what I got today. If you really love me, Farzy Show, just wrapping now. Locked On Eagles at noon. That's an hour show. 3 o'clock, I'm doing a hit with CBS 3. 4:05, I'll be watching the Phillies. I guess around 4, 5, 6, 7, 7:30. I'll be doing 7 o'clock. I'll be doing Locked On Phillies postcast. And then 11:30 tonight, fantastic sports show on Fox 29. I'm all over the place, baby. Next is Carnegie Hall. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Be with you guys.